We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday, talking about issues facing Metro Police Department. You know, the issue of an oversight committee. With us, two representatives from the Community Oversight Now. Nice to have you both on. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
If you have calls or questions, give us a holler on this. Look, the whole idea of this oversight committee has probably been bandied about, and you've talked about it and thought it would be a good thing for some time. But I mean, the flashpoints for this, would you say, have been the officer-involved shootings?
I would say that's absolutely what kind of revigorated the push here in Nashville, but it has been a push here in Nashville since the early 70s. It's been a 45-year push.
Okay, so building up all that time. And you were talking about how the vast majority sometimes of the complaints can be resolved without necessarily, you know, disciplinary or whatever. But some of them are more minor, some of them are more serious. Nothing's more serious than an officer-involved shooting, correct? And so that's really what gets people's attention on this. Now, from both of your perspectives, I think you have strong opinions on where we go. We're still waiting to hear what the DA is going to do on the most recent one. So if the oversight committee was in place right now, let's say it was in place when this most recent case occurred, I assume they'd be very involved. Talking about what you've said, they would have looked at, they would have seen the video. Would the group have issued an opinion at this point to the DA?
The oversight now, based upon state law, cannot. The oversight now could weigh in on some factors. For example, the policy review. Like, let me just give you a distinction.
Okay.
The oversight now could not carry out an investigation that is pending. That means they could not access information that's pending.
But you know, the police released that video, though, so you could look at that.
So what the oversight board could do at this point in time right now is to look at what's the proper motive, what's the proper method for releasing videos. What is the policy for an officer running with his gun? Should it be up or should it be down? What is a policy for a person who's killed or who's shot? Should there be CPR? What's the trauma in the community? So when Hambrick was killed, there were no trauma specialists that were sent to the community in immediate aftermath. So there are things that the oversight now could do that impact or that look at the ecosystem of that one shooting. But what the oversight board cannot do is to say we're going to take the exact same data and discovery information during a pending investigation and have a parallel investigation until the investigation is over.
I see.
And even going back to Jacquees, you know, social media searches and things of that nature, that's something that the COB could actively weigh in on.
Yeah, and as Ms. Lane said with Mr. Clemens, for example, the police held on to his phone for a year. That is a policy issue. The police still has not released the results of the use of force board for Mr. Clemens. That's a policy issue. The police held on to Mr. Clemens' clothes for 6 months. The family did not get his clothes until the family started protests. So those are policy issues that the oversight board can weigh in that could impact immediately the ecosystem of that one shooting, and that's so important to the integrity of those families who are most impacted by these issues.
Gotcha. All right, let's go next to Michael. Michael, good morning. Hi, Michael.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm a former police officer. Now, I'm going to tell you something. This board they're trying to set up, I'm going to tell you something about Chief Anderson. Chief Anderson is a lawyer. I mean, he's a board-certified lawyer. So Chief Anderson knows the law. And he knows under Garden versus State of Tennessee, the Supreme Court, the ruling they made, covers everything these officers are doing, shooting these guys under deadly force. So this board is not going to be able to do nothing because the president has been set through the federal court. So y'all, to a certain extent, if y'all going to do a board, you need to get some lawyers on there that know what's going on, not just people from the community talking. And that's where your problem coming in. Both of them shooting, to me, and I'm no longer a police officer, was justified. And I hate to say that because of loss of life, but them shooting was justified. That's all I got to say.
All right. your take. I mean, the policy, he's saying as a former police officer that there's, these Supreme Court decisions and rulings that, basically will justify most any police officer involved shooting.
Well, go ahead.
I would say that there are police officers who would disagree with that statement and who have expressed that to us. So, we understand the law, and we do have people who can interpret the law. There will be legal consultants. Of course, we would have the Metro Legal as well with the board. So I think there's some misunderstanding about what exactly the COB can do and how we can function, because again, it's not just about police shootings. There's people who call us about getting tased. There's people who call us about illegal searches. And again, the ecosystem around this shooting is something that we can affect immediately. And I'll let Sekou
there's something called the Metro Law Department. So the COB can't bring on an official lawyer. The COB has to rely upon, based upon Metro Charter,
Metro Legal.
Metro Legal. The COB can rely upon a legal resource advisor, someone who does know the law, and the COB will have those people, that person and those people, on this in the COB. And the COB can affect the ecosystem. For example, let's say there is a use of force that's the finding. The COB may be able to refer an incident to the grand jury. It can refer an incident to the DA. It can refer an incident to the Civil Service Commission. It can refer an incident to the Benefits Board. Okay, so I think people can kind of draw the logical conclusion that there are different ways to shape the disciplinary outcome beyond just, for example, the firing or an indictment of an officer. And the other thing I want to say is that I'm a little bit disturbed by the caller's conclusions. If we take the caller's conclusions to the full extent, are we to assume that there's nothing that you can do, that our outcome, that there's a fait accompli, that there's an outcome when it comes to police officers and students in which people get killed, they go home, and there's broad disillusionment or apathy? What the COB does is to provide hope. It provides a pathway to justice. It provides that pathway to due process and accountability. It lets folks know that you can have a political solution to a very complicated issue such as police shootings. But if we take the caller's argument to the full extent, what the caller is saying is it's a fait accompli. You just accept whatever is dealt to you in life, and you go home and you deal with it. And if we get to that point in Nashville, God help us. If we get to that point in Nashville, then you're essentially green-lighting the streets to do whatever they want to do to respond to whatever incident. So the COB offers a political solution and a pathway for hope and for empowerment and for justice. It doesn't say that your fate is destined to apathy and disillusionment. And so that's kind of, I think, why I'm a little bit, I think the caller should, as a police officer, should reach out to the Community Oversight Board, and once it's passed, should help shape the COB so that it can be much more robust to deal exactly with what the caller is trying to address. Yeah,
I think his concern too was maybe some of the legal issues and getting lawyers involved and all of that. But you say a political solution, right?
Yes.
And that really is.
I know it's policy,
but I just keep coming back to, because there's some limits that you're going to have with the COB, that just the way it's set up. But I just see, if something like this passes, whatever kind of results come out of the organization after meeting is going to have a lot of attention. The media will be reporting this. We're going to be seeing what it is you say. So when I just went into the political component. As I want to get back to whether or not you have the power to subpoena maybe some, or not really go after any of these law enforcement officers, you are going to have, I think, political power. Because people are going to take note of this, and if you make a recommendation and the people you recommend it to ignore it, because they have other competing things, going the other direction, that's going to create pressure one way or the other for them to deal with it maybe a little differently.
Here's when I meant political solution, just to reinterpret that, what I'm saying is that you have to give people who are facing systematic marginalization and disillusionment a pathway for exercising their grievances. And that's what the COB does. And when you remove all pathways for doing that, then you you make disillusionment and apathy the norm.
And you're saying that, I mean, I guess some with the FOP would say, well, there's pathways are there, but you're saying they don't work when you see a 98%. Because there are some pathways, and they don't work. Why? Because they just, you think they're going to protect the police no matter what? Is that the idea?
Well, it depends upon which pathway you're talking about. They're either weaponized, they're ignored, there's interference in OPA investigations, there's not a real robust bureaucratic infrastructure for carrying them out, there are trust issues. There's a policing problem in Nashville, particularly when it comes to race. There's a policing problem in Nashville when it comes to policing homelessness, for example. It's institutional, we can't run away from that.
And there's so much distrust that some people don't even go to make the complaints. Literally, they don't even want to go through the process of trying to show up to the precinct and say this or say that, because they know that it will move nowhere, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking to someone who's actually filed an OPA complaint regarding I think, an abuse of power, and on 2 occasions, the OPA complaint didn't go anywhere. I did that, so it's ineffective and it doesn't work.
All right, let's go to Raymond. Hi, Raymond. Good morning, Raymond. Are you there?
Yeah.
Hey, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I got a comment. If the police need a union themselves, why don't the victims and the public up there in Nashville need a union? So, you know, it's a union versus a union, and the police have got an extra union themselves. And it really, in the way, the oversight board will be a benefit to the police in that they'll see what's going on in the police department and improve it. It'll be an improvement to the police department. Oversight board could recommend an officer that's doing a good job get extra pay. But I don't see why the police is against it when they've got a union themselves. I don't see no difference.
All right. Well, you've said that you've heard from law enforcement, police officers that are in favor of the idea, right?
There are some that are, yes.
And there's some that signed a petition.
Yeah. So I mean, so there are some that do. I mean, what do you think of what he's saying there? It's just he likes the idea. I mean, I guess we all would hope if this happens that it just brings positive change across the board for the department, because everything better, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what we're after. I mean, that's the goal.
Accountability, it brings accountability and it brings representation. We are not represented, civilians are not represented in any space right now when it comes to MMPD or any type of misconduct. You know, years ago they had a civilian that was inside of the OPA. That still didn't work. And so that's why we know that an independent body is the best route to go at this point.
Take a break on that note. Be back for our final segment right after this. Stay with us.